bit about Thrifty Amateur Radio. The reason why I call it Thrifty, I do a lot of Boy Scout stuff, and that's one of the pieces of the Scout law of trying to do the most you can with your budget. And here's how I got interested in amateur radio. I found myself going camping and going places where I had no cell phone connectivity. And when that happened, I couldn't do really a lot of the things that I like to do as a techie. And so I said that simply was not good enough. And so I said, well, what can I do to have communications with my wife, with my family, with my scouts that I go camping with when I'm in the middle of the woods? And so when you actually go on Amazon, I've done this search for all the products. This is what I saw. You could buy these Motorola APRS or GMRS radios, and they're going to run you about 60 bucks. You can buy MERS radios, which will get you up to about 2 watts, which gets you a little bit further, but you're going to actually pay more than 100 bucks. In the top right here, you can get these CD radios that are going to run you 75 bucks each. And this is probably the slickest thing in the market right now. Hunters love them. A lot of avid woodsmen do. It's called a GoTenna, which is essentially a MERS radio. It runs over MERS. And so that's kind of expensive, especially if you're going to buy a couple of these. And what I noticed was they have this thing called the Baofeng or Pofeng radio, the UV82, and it sells for about $29. And being the thrifty guy that I am, I said that's more my price range. I'd buy a couple of those. And lo and behold, here's what I started finding out about. You know, it covers the 2-meter band, it covers the 70 centimeter, it has an FM radio in it to get a flashlight, but it required me to get a technician's license. So I bought the book on Amazon, and then from there, I took the license and passed it, and I bought some of the radios, and I bought the programming cable. And depending if you go to, you know, the Mount Vernon Amateur Radio Club where you can get the free license, or you borrow a book, you know, you're probably out 35 to 75 bucks. But you have something that is so much better because you can replace the antennas, you can get access to this whole world of amateur radio. And here's what I showed before. The first thing that you have to do is you have to go to Prolific's website, and you'll see the URL here at the bottom. But basically, when you go over on this website, you can go and download the Prolific drivers, which allow you to program the radio. Because the Chinese software that comes with it just absolutely sucks. But if you go and you buy the cables here, then you'll be able to plug this little guy into your computer. And that's what I showed earlier in the last meeting here. So you go online, you type in the password, guess, like it shows on here, and then you can download the drivers. So we showed in the last class too how to use Chirp Software to actually program the radios. And this is awesome because it has 2 things that I really like. One, you can import all the stock configurations for marine radio. So I think, what was your name? John earlier said you do some sailing. Well, you could use this radio to get all of the frequencies on the ports when you come in and out, and actually use this radio for that. You can get all the MERS and the FRS frequencies and put those on your radio, and so you could listen to those. And you can actually download all the repeaters in the county in about like 2 seconds, really. So I know the resolution's a little hard to see on this, but basically you can go in here and you can go to repeater book, and then all you're going to do is choose the county. And then from there, when you choose the county, you'll be able to see a list of the 10 repeaters in the county and quickly add multiple counties and fill up all the slots on your radio. So in about 5 minutes, once you get seasoned at this, you can put 100 different entries into your phone book of repeaters on your Baofeng. So the next thing that I found that was really cool was Echolink. And there's an iPad app for Echolink, and I love it because my wife can be sitting in the house on her iPad because she has her technician's license, and I can be out in the woods in the Shenandoahs and I can talk to her over Echolink if there's a repeater that supports Echolink. And so this is an example here of the repeaters in the area. You'll notice, like here's one in Harrisonburg, which you could probably catch while sitting on the top of the Shenandoahs. A really good way of being able to tell the parents, hey, we did our 50-mile hike and we did 10 miles today and everything's going well. When Verizon could not hear me now on the top of the mountain, right? Here's one of the things I really, really like. My uncle told me about APRS, which is the Automatic Packet Reporting System. Essentially what it does is it allows you to take your call sign and give your GPS location for your call sign and send that over an amateur radio frequency. And by doing that, it registers to a website where everyone in the world can see your location. So what this allows you to do is essentially create your own like black box like on those airplanes, but to do it for amateur radio frequencies. And let me show you just how small this is, right? So this black box in the bottom left is this thing here called a Echolink D. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It sells for, I want to say like $65. And you take this cable and you plug it right in here into the side of the bail thing. And now what this does is it gives the bail thing a Bluetooth connection. So I can take an Android phone that runs APRS Droid software and it syncs via Bluetooth to this Echolink D, which is hardwired into the bail thing. And by doing that, I can take the GPS from my phone and send it in here in intervals. So I can set some of the settings that say, hey, every 2 minutes, send out my GPS location. Or every time I move 1 kilometer, update my GPS position. So it's a great way if you're hiking in the middle of the woods and nobody knows where you're at, you can give them a live update. And what's also cool about it is the software supports text messaging. Essentially, it's APRS messaging over APRS frequencies, so that you can send that out to give updates. So somebody could also check a website, or somebody could send those APRS messages to your phone, who's even a non-tech person as well. And I think this is one of the really coolest things. When we talk about Boy Scouts, being able to say, hey, when you go over this 50-mile hike, now we can see exactly where you're at. Now we can use things like iPad apps to do VoIP across and actually talk to you guys. We're getting into some really cool features here, and we're doing it very, very low cost. So this setup here is about $100 with, by adding this $65 piece to the $30 radio here with the cables. One of the other things I found when I was going through is trying to choose the antenna, getting better than the rubber ducky. There's a great site called miclor.com, and if you go here, you'll see there's an Excel spreadsheet of like 50 different antennas that he chooses. I went with the Nagoya 771, which is about $9, and then we actually tested it on a VizWire reader with Ron and myself, and we found the VizWire was about 3, so not quite as low as I liked. So we went and we actually made our own ground plane antenna here. Very, very simple, very, very low cost. I think the cost is like $2 on this guy with some, electrical wire that you use for your housing. So a simple thing like this, I run in my attic. I run a double half hitch, and I just hang this up with some fishing wire from the top of my townhome, completely indistinguishable. It's inside my attic, you cannot see it. But I can talk to the repeater here all the way from Vernon. So it's a very, very simple low-cost solution. Here's one thing I found that was really slick, is what if you want to make your own repeater? Well, with 2 of these radios and a $3 cable to basically go from the 3.5 millimeter to the 2.5 millimeter jacks for the microphone and the speaker, you can connect it. And here's what you do. So let's say you're on the left side of this hill and there's a pretty girl on the right side of this hill and you want to talk to each other. But let's say you know this is going to happen, so you take these two radios, you stick them up at the top, you program them on these frequencies, and so now when you're talking, you can transmit over this hill. Or maybe you just take these two radios and you tie it to the highest tree and then you raise them up in order to increase the line of sight from the tallest thing around you. So this is a very, very simple, low-cost way. You could build a series of repeaters, like if you're doing a scouting trip out in the middle of the woods. So one of the other things that's also helpful here is you can build an off-grid power supply. They have these solar charging radios for about, solar charger for AA batteries for about 14 bucks. And you can put 4 of those AA's, so I bought 2 of those. And then there's also a battery case that you can use that actually plugs straight with this barrel plug directly into the POFUM cable, so you can use this as a simple, low-cost way to power your device when you're outside in the woods. Overall, I think that makes a very, very low-cost way to have power for a very, very long time while you're outside. I think the average charge rate is about 8 hours to totally fill these lithium-ion batteries, but it's, you know, they last quite a bit of time being lithium ions. If you're looking for good places to kind of go and learn more, I found these 2 places to be fairly informative. I like this YouTube channel by Survival Techno, where he gives a lot of interesting tactics on using very, very tactical equipment. And QRZ Now, that's the website, but they also have a Facebook page that you can subscribe to and get a lot of really good live updates. So kind of overall doing this solution here, you have a radio that can listen to all of these frequencies. You can use Echolink to do global communications all around the world. You can use it over an iPad app to talk to your radio. You have the ability to broadcast your GPS position with APRS or send APRS text messages. You've increased your range by changing out the antennas, and you've made a simple repeater that you can use to essentially increase your range significantly when you have things that block line of sight. And overall, you can live for a budget that's very, very cheap, of under $200, and significantly less depending on what equipment you choose to have. Perfect. All right, well, thanks, guys. Have a good night.